How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, Discount Radon here. So, I'm genuinely surprised at myself that I haven't even made a video about this individual yet. A guy that goes by the name of Harman Smith, and he is like a perfect storm of just like the kinds of people that I get a decent amount of entertainment out of making fun of on this channel. This man is an unironic Nintendo fanboy, which is, in my personal opinion, it's literally like a step lower than being an unironic Bungie fanboy, so on top of that too, he is one of the many who have never even touched Elden Ring, yet apparently try to claim that it's an objectively bad game, and trust me, I will in fact be going and taking a look at some of those videos, especially since now I have actually played it and I'm still playing it, and kind of break those down since I now actually have some hands-on experience with some of that shit. And there's also a couple of other videos on this guy's channel that are a little bit more recent that I might actually cover, because dear god, this man's entire channel is like, it's like a rabbit hole of absolutely flaccid, brainlet takes, the likes of which no human has ever seen. And while I was scrolling through Harman's channel, I ended up coming across a video from about like 2 months ago, apparently titled, "Go Woke, Get Broke is Real," and for some reason it's filmed vertically, probably because he thought that this was just going to automatically become like a YouTube short or something like that, but since he doesn't exactly know that you really only have like a maximum of like about a minute in order for something to become a YouTube short, it just ended up turning into a regular video that's just filmed vertically for whatever reason. But without further ado, let's just sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, and let's take a look at someone talking about fucking go woke, go broke.
Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lauren Frey, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon.
Okay, well, we are 10 seconds in, and I already have a lot to say. First of all, is this man trying to, like, claim that he's, like, some sort of self-proclaimed author or something along those lines? Like, I really have no idea. I can only imagine just how bad some of those books might actually be, although considering just how many of those books had the word dragon in it, I'm genuinely surprised that he doesn't enjoy Elden Ring, because the amount of dragons that I've seen in Elden Ring is over-fucking-whelming, and I'm not complaining about that. Some of the dragon designs are pretty fucking wild. Like, have you seen the Rot Dragon? Here's a little bit of, like, genuine advice here, buddy, okay? If you're going to record anything, especially if it's going to be on, like, your phone or whatever the fuck you're recording this on, don't film at a low angle, man, okay? As someone that quite literally went to a digital film and video production class, low angles are really not flattering whatsoever for really any subject. You could get a Greek Adonis and film them at a low angle, and they will straight up look like an actual, like gremlin, okay? They will not look good whatsoever. And also, that forehead, my guy, dear God, like, what do I even have to say about that one? But I'm not gonna go too far into that, because that's just pointless insults. But yeah, never film at a low angle, that's all I have to say. It doesn't make you look good whatsoever.
2023. It's been kind of interesting over the past couple of years, seeing a handful of people, certain individuals, try and claim that go woke, go broke isn't a real thing.
Well, that's mainly because it isn't. A lot of people that usually try to parrot some of that shit are usually just, like, trying to cherry-pick various bits of evidence, and they end up failing. And usually whenever a game that they claim is going woke ends up failing, they usually just default back onto, oh, the game went woke, therefore it fucking failed. When in reality, you begin to look into those games and you realize that there was a myriad of other issues that caused it to kind of flop that didn't involve it, quote-unquote, going fucking woke, okay? Like, a lot of the examples that some people like to bring up is, like, I think it was like some sort of remake of the first Last of Us or something like that that didn't exactly do well at launch, and people claim that it's because it went woke, but the reality of it is just that it had just like a whole bunch of performance issues and a bunch of bugs and shit like that that caused it to be extremely unfavorable. And of course, for fucking Spoken, that goddamn abortion of a video game, that ended up flopping because of the abysmal writing, the absolutely absurd requirements on PC, and the fact that even if you did meet those requirements, the game would barely even run past like 20 fucking frames per second, the gameplay being absolutely just unfucking bearable. The last thing that caused fucking Forspoken to fail was the fact that it, quote, went woke.
That it's fake and gay, that the system is so inherently, like, toxic and corrupt, and that there's so many people, like, willing to buy into this stuff that, you know, these companies don't go broke. Like, you have people, like, you know, the ESG system, which does exist. You have, like, all these, like, justifications and these excuses, like, regarding the situation. And I think there is some discussion to be had about like what exactly happens when you go woke, like what going broke actually looks like.
Well, actually, my main question is just the actual claim of what exactly do you consider to be a game or a medium of any type going woke? Like, what exactly does that look like, and why is that the actual catalyst that causes them to, quote, go broke?
Process of like these companies desperately trying to push like wokeness into the general population. There is like a real conversation to be had here, but I don't think there is any denying whatsoever that go woke, go broke is not a real thing. Right, like there is no way you can you can claim that like wokeness is popular, that it sells a lot, that it's going to reach its target audience, that it's going to influence the masses.
Well, the funny part is that I've yet to see any conclusive evidence that actually proves the contrary. Again, mainly because the overall, like, definition of something going woke is pretty much just, like, so unbelievably nonsensical to the point where there's just... It just kind of loses meaning.
You can't convince me that this stuff is making money, right? That's the reality we're in right now, is that, like, in spite of the ESG system, in spite of everything the system is doing to try and, like, paint this stuff as desirable, in spite of, like, the political machinations of Hollywood, corrupt gaming journalists, the gaming industry, fraud writers.
Well, I mean, the thing is that the whole problem with a lot of those things has absolutely nothing to do with quote-unquote going woke. Like, it has nothing to do with that. It has a lot of things to do with a myriad of other shit, most of which involve money.
Like, basically all of my competition, people who are actually backed by major publishing corporations and, the big publishers.
He's unironically calling, like, all the other, like, book publishers, like, his competition. Like, someone might have to correct me on this, because I might be wrong on this one, but I highly doubt that, like, major book publishers, or even the smaller book publishers, are really in competition with one another. I mean, maybe they are, and it's just some sort of, like, really niche thing. Like, maybe instead of the console wars, it's the publisher wars or some shit like that that's going on when it comes to novels and shit like that. Like, who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually true, but it just kind of, to me, shows this guy's overall mentality when it comes to things, with just the simple fact that for some reason he's calling all these other book publishers, like, his competition for some reason.
Stuff like that. In spite of all of that, like, I really don't think people are buying a lot of this woke stuff. I don't think it's really believed. I think it's just a trend that the establishment is pushing, and people from the mid to upper mid levels buy into it in hopes that they'll someday reach the upper echelons of society. They're going along with it in hopes that they'll get promotions, that they'll get this and they'll get that, and they'll be able to, like, be highly successful.
I mean, again, technically, he's, like, not wrong here. It's probably just a bunch of people just kind of going along with it, just that way they can get a paycheck or get a promotion or something along those lines. But again, it has nothing to do with, like, going woke or anything along those lines. It really just has more to do with money. And again, if, quote, going woke wasn't, like, extremely profitable or whatever else, then honestly, I don't really know what the point of, like, trying to, pretend to go along with it would be if it really just isn't profitable. You would think it would be more profitable to be against it, but all these people are saying that, oh, they're just doing it in order to get a paycheck or to get money or promotions or something along those lines. Like, they themselves are just kind of admitting that it's in some way decently profitable enough for, big, like, news companies or games or really just, like, any kind of, distributor of media of, like, any kind. It's in some way profitable for some of them to, I guess, quote-unquote, go along with some woke agenda or something along those lines. Like, I don't know. It's excessively perplexing to me. It's, like, genuine brain rot.
It's not something that even the people who are, like, actively pushing it believe. And if they do, if people, like, really sincerely believe in, like, woke culture, it becomes inherently obvious to everyone just how toxic they actually are. I think, like, the creators behind Velma are a really good example of this, where you see these people, you see, like, the show they made and, like, the interviews they give and the discussions they have about, like, about the show, about their views on society, about, like, the brand that the show was supposed to, like, be a representation of. You see them talk about this, and when it all comes together, when they produce the show, when like everybody watches all 12 episodes, you create a show that appeals to absolutely no one.
I mean, again, Velma is pretty much one of those, like, niche cases of, like, you know, genuinely trying to, like, push, overly push, like, something stupid. Even like, people that I would assume this person would consider to be part of the woke agenda were quite literally outspoken about just how absolutely trash the Velma show was. Literally not a single soul liked it. It was quite literally one of those moments where everyone was able to put aside their differences and talk about just how shit the Velma series was. Regardless of what side they stood on, they were all willing to collectively state that Velma sucked ass. Like, no one is fucking denying that Velma is a terrible fucking show. It was a terrible attempt to remake the Scooby-Doo series, if that's what they were attempting to try and do. And you're taking, like, a rare, like, case of, like, a broken clock being correct once a day, in which some scumfuck ends up trying to push something for literally no other reason other than just the simple fact that, I don't know, they're excessively insecure or whatever the fuck else. And when you begin to look at it, you begin to realize that it's also one of those cases in which everyone from all sides came together and stated that Velma sucked.
It's not appealing to Scooby-Doo fans because it doesn't have Scooby-Doo in it. It has nothing to do with the characters. It has nothing to do with the general concept. It's not like, it doesn't appeal to like animation fans. It doesn't appeal to like adult animation fans. It doesn't appeal to people who like, you know, maybe are interested in like the idea of, you know, a high school group of high schoolers like solving mysteries. Like, what exactly about Velma resonates with anyone? What exactly makes it appealing? And the answer is like absolutely nothing. Like, unless you're a contrarian, like, you don't like Velma.
Well, I mean, let's be fair here. A lot of the people that are within the go woke, go broke crowd are also just extreme contrarians, but just on the other side. But once again, everyone from all sides pretty much collectively dunked on the Velma TV show, and literally no one liked it.
Like, nobody likes Velma. Nobody likes any of these woke projects, right? Nobody likes the new Star Wars movies. Nobody likes, you know, Indiana Jones, or like a lot of the new Disney, any of the new animated Disney films.
Well, again, here's the thing. All of those things have literally nothing to do with going woke or anything along those lines. First of all, Indiana Jones, like, I don't really get it. Like, there hasn't been a new Indiana Jones movie since, I think, maybe, like, 2014 with the Crystal Skull. Unless that one Indiana Jones movie that had, like, a trailer coming out about it has already been released, in which case I didn't really hear too much about it, so I don't really have that much of an opinion about that one, so I really don't know what in the world you're talking about here. Although, interesting fun fact, in the first Indiana Jones movie, the primary antagonists within the Indiana Jones movie, you know, those, like, you know, soldier guys that Indiana's, like, beating the fuck out of? Yeah, apparently I recently discovered that those guys are actually just, like, part of, like, some sort of, like, Nazi faction, so, you know, I now enjoy the Raiders of the Lost Ark even more now that I know that information, because, I mean, based Indiana Jones. When it comes to, like, the new Star Wars movies, I think a lot of that pretty much has to go down to, I guess, from what I've heard, at least, like, a good majority of what I've heard, it mainly has to do with the writing and the handling of, like, a whole new protagonist and antagonist going around. Like, the writing was just kind of all over the place, even I could admit. Like, obviously, the new Star Wars films just kind of really feel excessively diluted, especially when compared to, you know, the previous Star Wars films. And again, I'm pretty sure that's probably the biggest reason as to why the new Star Wars films are, you know, being looked at as critically as they are. And again, it just has nothing to do with those movies going woke or anything along those lines. And when it comes to, like, the, you know, the animated, the new live-action Disney films, like, you know, the Lion King movie, I mean, no one really liked that because, like, you know, the CG with it, like, all the animation, just, it just did not work whatsoever. And I myself actually saw, like, live-action Little Mermaid remake. I mean, I personally didn't find it that bad. Like, it was an alright movie. Like, it was actually, I would even venture to say that it was actually pretty decent. Obviously, it's not outstanding by any means, but overall, it's not exactly a bad movie whatsoever. From what I've seen of, like, the statistics for the new Little Mermaid movie, I mean, it did fairly well in the box office, so again, I don't really know what your point is. I mean, I think the main reason why a lot of people don't like the live-action Disney remakes is Just simply because of the fact that it's just very clear that it's an attempt by Disney to just kind of, like, try to get some additional money off of, like, nostalgia. Again, other reasons other than those things going, quote, woke, it's complete nonsense.
They all have problems outside of simply being woke, right? They're all inherently flawed.
I mean, hey, at least he mentions that there were in fact problems outside of them going, quote, woke, like they were just genuine flaws that actually made those things, you know, unappealing to a lot of people. But I guarantee you he probably thinks that, you know, the biggest problem out of all of the other inherent problems, you know, is just those things going woke, because fuck off, I guess.
As people consume this media, or, like, you know, or even become, like, passively aware of it, or even just, like, by seeing marketing materials or hearing word of mouth, just how toxic these kind of ideas and this ideology actually is. It's not just people, you know, being upset at a political ideology or, like, you know, a certain demographic or a certain group of people. It's just a frustration at, you know, the individuals who are paid to create entertainment just failing to make anything even remotely entertaining.
Again, how does that have anything to do with those things going woke? Again, that would fall more along the lines of those things just being incompetent when it comes to other aspects like writing or storytelling or whatever the fuck else. Like, again, a medium, like, not being appealing or not, like, having any level of enjoyment in it has nothing to do with those things going woke or anything along those lines. Because if that was the case, then, like, in my personal opinion, a lot of that, like, a good majority of, like, modern horror movies are woke, because a lot of those modern horror movies just kind of suck ass.
Right? And fundamentally what that means is that more and more people are drifting away from this kind of entertainment, right? Like, I really don't see Indiana Jones 5, with the way it's looking right now, really doing very well at all.
Well, again, I haven't really heard anything about the upcoming... I haven't really heard anything about the upcoming Indiana Jones movie. I might try to look something up, but, you know, I mean, I enjoyed the Indiana Jones series outside of that, and I really wonder what the new one is going to really be about. So, whatever. I don't really get it.
Plenty of people already hate, like, Temple of Doom and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Is 5 really going to, like, get people, like, in chairs? Maybe people would go see it for, like, you know, Harrison Ford's final Indiana Jones movie, but, like, who really cares, really? Like, as a huge James Bond fan, I certainly don't, like, care about Never Say Never Again, or even, like, Diamonds Are Forever, or even You Only Live Twice, because those certainly don't, like, care about Never Say Never Again, or even, like, Diamonds Are Forever, or even You Only Live Twice, because those aren't the best Sean Connery films, right? You know, even then, like, you know, if the quality is down, like, why would I continue to care? And even if the film is good, like, why would I ever revolve my life around it?
I guarantee you, people probably aren't revolving their lives around it. They just enjoy the movie. They just enjoy the film. If they got any amount of enjoyment out of it, like, that's pretty much about it. I mean, they aren't like you, who seems to revolve your entire existence around, you know, stroking Nintendo's dick 24/7. Listen. Okay, the CEO of Nintendo is not going to let you blow him, okay? It's not gonna happen. Just give up the fight, Harman.
Right, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, is that, like, go woke, go broke doesn't necessarily mean that, like, the companies are going bankrupt. What it means is that people are, like, tuning more and more out of, like, what these creators are developing. So even if, like, they have some long-standing, like, hugely successful franchise like Star Wars, and they keep making films and they keep getting people to watch them, like, more and more you're going to see people just, like, slowly drift away.
Again, a lot of that has nothing to do with those things going woke. It usually has a lot to do with other aspects of it, like, people are tuning out of it for other reasons other than them going woke. They're tuning out of them and being heavily critical because of other fucking obvious reasons.
And we're going to reach the point where, like, there's more bad material than good ones, right? Like, and again, like, Star Wars is in a weird situation because, like, you know, the first 2 films are, like, you know, all-time classics. And, like, you can argue there's been, like, you know, good Star Wars media over the years. Like, I've heard people say that, like, you know, Revenge of the Sith is good. I've heard people, like, say things like that. You can argue about this kind of thing. But, like, is it going to be viable for someone getting into it in, like, 2025, like, go through all this material and discover, like, Star Wars?
Well, I think most people that are discovering some of these franchises are likely not going to start off with some of the newer versions. At least, hopefully, they don't. They're probably going to start off with some of the older things, so that way they're established more into, you know, what it's overall about. And they'll probably come to a similar conclusion that, hey, these new Star Wars films don't really hold much of a candle to the original ones, and that's kind of why they're a bit mid. Like, again, has nothing to do with them going woke. It's literally just other factors going into why people are so critical of them.
When, like, the new material that's getting made isn't all that interesting or compelling. Like, I think most people would go for, like, a franchise that's, like, you know, higher quality, that actually respects its fans, that actually has, like, an interesting setting, and actually is still getting good content made today.
And, congratulations, that is still happening today. People are still going to those things. And hell, even some of the people that are disappointed with, like, the newer iterations of, like, currently running franchises are still with those franchises because they at least enjoy some of the older stuff. They're just not a fan of the newer stuff that's been released because of other reasons other than it's, quote, going woke. People aren't, like, fleeing the Star Wars, like, you know, fandom because of the newer movies. Even the people in the Star Wars fandom that are really heavily into it are critical of the new Star Wars movies because of, like, just how mid they are in comparison to the previous movies.
Like, stuff that isn't, like, compromised, like Star Wars is. And there are countless examples of that. You know, creators like me, you know, who are producing the things we want to create with no real political agenda or ideology.
I'd like to really hear some of these other countless examples other than just yourself. Like, I don't really get it. Anyways, that's where we're just gonna end this one. This video just genuinely made absolutely no sense, and I really have nothing else to say. So what have we learned? We've learned that this man apparently doesn't know that other factors go into media other than how woke they are. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like. That's very well appreciated. Leave a comment down below what you thought about the video, which one would I talk about next, and also consider subscribing if you feel like it. And also go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Insert joke here. Anyways, guys, this has been Sanity, and have yourselves a nice day.